What are these mysterious closing costs that you hear about when you're buying a house? Want to find out? Stay tuned. Hey everyone, welcome to Minneapolis Living. I'm Nick Sundahl and I run Acta Homes of Keller Williams Classic Realty Northwest here in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Before we get into what closing costs are and what you can expect, hit the subscribe button. And while you're there, ring that bell so you're alerted every time I upload a new video on Tuesdays and Fridays. Please watch throughout the whole video because at the end, I'm going to provide you a link that could potentially save you thousands of dollars on your next home purchase, as well as save you money on your next refinance. So what are closing costs? Well, ultimately, it's the cost of doing business. You actually hire a third-party title company that examines the deed and title on the property to make sure you won't be sued by someone, or to make sure that when you go to sell that property, it's nice and clean for the next buyer. This is where having a good relationship between your realtor and the title company comes into play. The biggest benefit is the level of communication. If they have a preferred vendor that they like to work with, strongly consider it because they're usually on the same page. They communicate well and they make sure your transaction goes through smoothly. However, you do want to see what they charge and what they're charging for. It's always a good idea to shop. Now let's take a look what closing costs look like from the buyer's side. If we look at this here, we're dealing from the purchase or the borrower or the buyer. The debit is what they're going to owe, and credit is what they receive to pay off the debit. And in this case, of course, we have a $500,000 purchase. We have a deposit or earnest money, which was $5,000 in this case. The deposit here of $425,000. I'm sorry, that's the loan amount. That's coming from the bank. And as you can see, the $75,000 difference is a 15% down payment on the property. The seller credit of $1,000, the seller agreed here to provide $1,000 to closing costs. And that gets applied all the way through. It's a line item deal. So if we scroll down all the way to title charges, and this is where closing costs or the cost of doing business really show up. And title charges are based on a title company. And what they do is have a closing fee. So it's a basic $250 charge they do to go through the closing. They have a lender's and title insurance that you are responsible for to pay for the lender's title insurance so that there aren't any liens, and that will cover them. We have the title abstracting, which is a title search, and we have the title exam, and then other additional title services, which is typically admin charges. And then of course you purchase your own title insurance. One thing you can't negotiate are government recording and transfer charges. Here in Hennepin County, we have basic charges. If you want to move, you're going to pay for it, not just with moving companies or so forth, but you have to pay the state and you have to pay the county. And here in Hennepin County and also in Ramsey County, which cover Minneapolis and St. Paul specifically, you do get charged a little bit more, and that goes and pays for this. As you can see, there's quite a bit of a cash outlay for the buyer's side that doesn't even include your down payment. So that's why a lot of buyers will ask sellers to pay some of those closing costs. Now that's a completely different video, but it can be negotiated, whether it's financed, whether you have the sellers pay for it. So keep in mind that can be adjusted based on the deal. Now let's take a look at the seller side of things. Okay, so the difference here now is we're going to examine what it looks like for the seller. The big difference here is the seller pays out commissions to the agents representing both parties. So not only the seller paying their own agent that represents them, but pays out commissions to the buyer's agent in this case. So on this sale, we've got a $245,000 property, real estate taxes that were gone for the rest of the month of July. And then you look at commissions paid out to the buyer's agent of $6,600. Now, when you're looking at government recording and transfer charges, again, the state or the government gets their piece. You have a conservation fee of $5. Not exactly sure what that goes to, but my guess is more recycling of paper. being that we do mostly everything now digitally. And of course, we have a state deed tax, which Hennepin County charges a bit more, just like Ramsey does, compared to the rest of the state. And then you've got your payoff of the mortgage and real estate taxes, closing fee. Closing fee for seller is a bit more than it would be for the buyer, but the buyer pays for more title insurance and such. As you can see from the sell side, the closing costs aren't nearly as much. Of course, you do pay out those commissions not only to your realtor, but to the buyer's agent as well. Hopefully those agents have earned that money and you're very satisfied with the transaction. Now to that little link that I promised. Do you see it? It's right there. SaveWithNick.com. That's going to direct you to the Keller Mortgage landing page, where you can potentially save thousands on your next purchase, as well as save all sorts of money towards closing costs on your next refinance. So, are you looking to purchase? I'd love to hear from you. You can call, text, email, hit me up on social media. Honestly, it doesn't matter to me. I would love to hear from you. Also, what else do you want to know? Hit me up in the comments. I'd be happy to reply. This is Minneapolis Living. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.